So good evening, welcome to the DONNYCHAINGANG here on the Downing Cycling YouTube channel with me, Matt Payne, and I'm joined in the studio today by the Indy the Trail Dog, who's just hiding down here. He's feeling a little sorry for himself because we were out and he's managed to chop the end of one of his fingers, well, one of his pads, so we're taking pity on him. He's normally banned from the studio during recording, but do you know what? Today he's going to stay down here until he tries to bite me or something like that because he's feeling grumpy because he's hurting. Welcome to Pritygrity Week. We are here in what are going to be two very different worlds this week. We have a pretty world and a gritty world. They are going to be two very different courses and require two very different bike setups. And we're going to get into a little bit of detail about that with Russ in a little while. First of all, some big thank yous. Thank you everybody who's joined February into the DCG gang, the DONNYCHAINGANG Supporters Club. DCG gang, of course, is how we keep the show on the road. Not just this show that you're watching right now, but of course the virtual world and the ride, as well as bringing everybody loads of great discounts and giveaways and getting all the guests on as well. So remember, guys, if you do have a few quid spare, make sure you chuck it in on the way in. I know plenty of people just joining to ride, which is cool. It's always free to ride on the DONNYCHAINGANG, whether that's a Women's Wednesday or whether that is, of course, one of our themed weeks. Our sponsors are here looking after our riders who are members of the DONNYCHAINGANG Supporters Club, the DCG gang. And if you do join, it's £20 for the month, but we give you loads of great discounts, everything from 20% off Pritygrity right the way through to discounts on your coffee, through to things like Struggle merchandise. We've got lots more giveaways coming up as well, exclusive to members of the DONNYCHAINGANG Supporters Club, the DCG gang. If you're not a member, don't worry. You can always just join the ride on a ride-by-ride basis. And remember, of course, those links don't open until we get them. And then we put them through the system and we come and get them out to you. If you're a member of the DCG gang, not only do we have giveaways and the discount codes, as well as the added support, but also we send you those links direct to you. And they go into your inbox. You don't need to join Ride by Ride. So lots of advantages. And, of course, it's just a way for Russ and me to say thank you for being on the DCG gang. A really important part of that, because otherwise we just can't keep the show on the road. Now, let's get the show on the road. And let's talk to the one and only Russ Downing, who on the good days is on the end of the phone line. Hello, Russ.
A good day, yeah. I wish that was today, but not really.
Oh, well, it's been a pretty good day. Listen, I've been out on the bike for 2 days in a row. It's got to be a good day.
You're flying, mate.
I don't know about that. Falling off a lot. It was pretty slippy out there.
Oh, I did look out. Went out for a dog walk this morning. That was a bit sketchy. You know, snow's good, but when it's starting to thaw and ice over and do what it was doing today is a bit. Yeah, so I just chose for one bike ride today, and why not go up a big sodding hill?
That's an understatement, isn't it? But it's round Innsbruck Ring, which in itself is a leg snapper climb, but we do that repeatedly, which always has a danger of breaking the group up.
Yeah, if that, like I say, it's called leg snapper for a reason. It might be a gang snapper tonight, but hopefully we can keep it tight. And I'm putting some instructions on here. Keep it tight. The aim of the game tonight is to get to the bottom of the KOM in a big blob, a big pack, call it what you wish, and then have a go on the KOM and stick some watts down.
Yep. And today it's a pretty route. We're in the Alps. It doesn't get much more scenic than being in the Alps. And then Thursday, for the gritty part of Pritygrity, we've of course got a first for us and the first for the Chain Gang.
Yeah, we going. Where are we going, Matt? I can't remember now.
It's Serpentine 8. We're going into the jungle. It's a rumble in the jungle. It's going to be gritty. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a lot shorter, but a lot harder than normal. But some of the best scenery in a virtual world, because of course we can create anything they want in Watopia.
Yeah, I think John Rhodes used to say, "Watch out, it's a jungle out there." And Thursday is definitely a jungle, and we put on the Facebook and different posts that maybe go shopping and change your bike, because the word on the street is that a mountain bike's fastest round there. So don't rock up on your F12 and get spat really. So yeah, change your bike.
Indeed, it's about looking and having a think about what's going to suit you, as it is on this, because some of our riders will have gone full aero because they're going to struggle to get to the bottom of the climb, but they'll be all right on the climb. Other people like me are more suited for smashing around with the gang at the bottom, and I would be on the lightest bike I could get because I know I'm going to stay on the gang, but when we hit the climb, it's going to be different. So it is horses for courses, isn't it? And it's about choosing the bike for the chain gang and for the ride you're doing on Zwift at the time.
Yeah, I've just actually nearly forgot to change my wheels from riding with Ty yesterday. I had a disc wheel in the back and a big deep section in the front, so I think I'd have been fine to the bottom of the climb, but then I'd have been doing a U-turn and going backwards. So yeah, don't forget to go shopping for Thursday's bike ride.
Definitely. We all like spending money on our bikes and on kit, which is great, and that's one of the reasons it's great to have Pritygrity. Now, they are giving away a jersey, and Russ and I and Caroline and Neil from Pritygrity are going to be keeping an eye on the posts. If you're a member of the Donny Chain Gang, you can be nominated by somebody else on the gang to have the Spirit of the Chain Gang award. So Spirit of the Chain Gang, we're looking for people who go back and help other people out, who ride around the yellow, maybe help out the red, do some sweeping, maybe are coming back from injury, all sorts of things. I think we could have given it, if it was included, to Ty, who is out riding on his 24-hour challenge.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely gutted, with Ty. So Dino's worked really closely with him, getting him in top shape for the thing, and I did 2-hour stint, Dean did 2-hour stint, and so did a lot of the guys from the gang. They supported him, and he got injured, after I think 500 something K, 15 hours in, he just he had a little pop come from his foot, which it's just gutted, absolutely gutted. Lost for words for Ty. They put a lot of effort in, and it was on for it. He was going really well and controlling everything. But I think from all of us at the gang, Ty, rest up, get that sorted. I'm sure you'll come back and smash it.
Definitely, and a phenomenal mileage on Zwift anywhere. In fact, that kind of distance, 550k. So good luck, Ty. Recover well. Russ, we better let you get going. We're less than 2 minutes to the start. You've got some serious instructions to get out there, and we're going to show everybody where we're heading today.
Cheers, mate. Catch you up there.
So good to hear from Russ. Let's jump across to the course. We're here on Pritygrity Week, and you may have noticed the stripes in the background sort of go from one side to the other. Well, they're also on the screen behind me here, and the reason that we've got them up, and it's all part of Pritygrity, is this is actually the global temperature change between 1850 and 2019. And oddly enough, as you move across, it gets warmer and warmer and warmer, and that's one of the reasons that Pritygrity is so keen on making sure that all the kit is sustainable as possible. And in doing that means thinking a little bit differently, and thinking a little bit differently this time round. It's about getting up the hills on the course and keeping together to the bottom, and let's show you what that course looks like. So first of all, let's bring in the fantastic map that we have, courtesy of Zwift Insider. And as you can see from the map, we have a very short run in, and then we work our way around the circuit, and we do that. It's a multiple lap around the circuit before we head off up onto the big climb. That's the section at the bottom. Now, if I move out of the way, let's show you something a little bit more important, because you need to know where we're heading. So I'm going to run away, and let's show you who we've got. We've got Russ as our beacon in yellow with the yellow chevron, the bear. We have Rich Orrell driving the red party bus. He's the man who we're going to be keeping our eye on as we make our way around. Remember, he is of course one of the key supporters of the Donny Chain Gang, and we're always looking out to make sure that all our members are going well. Don't forget, of course, this course I've got a lead in. It is a quick lead in before we head out. You just see we're just going underneath the gantry. We then go on to 3 laps of Innsbruck Ring before, on the 4th time as we head out from the gantry that the riders are just going underneath, we're then going to be heading out and up on to the climb. And that means that we are going to be looking for the riders who are going to be ascending that now. It's all about the climb at the end of the day. There's absolutely no point going hard to start off with. 640 meters of elevation. Let's show you what that looks like, courtesy of VeloViewer, the fantastic profile that you can get online at VeloViewer. Make sure you go in. It's got all of the stats. It's got all of the course records, the distance records, the speed records. Everything is in there, and it's absolutely critical if you want to know what you're doing to have a look. Now, you can see the loop. What we've done is we've flipped it through 180 degrees. North and south has been transposed pretty much on the map. And as you can see, the little loop is around the bottom. The leg snapper climb, the little one we talk about, is the little blue section at the bottom corner. And that is a little bit of a kick. It comes up at about 8%. However, once we've done 3 laps of the circuit, we then go up onto the climb. Big gradient changes, so 9.5, 10.3, 9%, and you can see those red sections. Now, if you were on VeloView, you'd be able to spin it and move it about, and that is critical if you want to know exactly what it's going to look like as you make your way out and around a circuit, know where the gradients are, where you need to be pushing on hard. So at the moment, from front to back, it's about 14 seconds in the group, and that is to the yellow beacon. So from the front to the yellow at the moment, it is currently 14 seconds. Guys, you do need to put the brakes on and get round the yellow beacon. Don't be a muppet and ride off the front. You can do that on a race. Remember, this is a ride. It only turns into a race when Russ gives the signal. So let's head across to our riders, and we are going to make our way over. So let's see what's happening here on Pritygrity week in the chain gang. And if we take a look at the screen just over there, you can see Russ at the moment is going 2-2-2-2-2, and that's quite simple because that's exactly what he wants everybody to do. You can just see the yellow beacon a bit further up, but the red light shining down, that's on our red beacon. That is Rich Orrell. At the moment, we're just going to focus on Rich. On your screen, quick explanation for anybody who doesn't know what we've got. Just up in the top corner, up there, on the right hand side is the map. Now that map is changeable, and you might see us move that map around to a 3D map. It may be that we've zoomed in, it may be that we're going to zoom out to get a little bit more vision. On the right hand side, we can work our way through a number of our riders, and we're going to just take a little bit of a jump across. Let's jump across, for example, to Craig Genther. So Craig at the moment on his way through, just watching Craig head towards the red beacon, and Craig at the moment doing 4.5 watts per kilo. You can see that just below his name. Top of the screen, right over the far side, right over there. Watts, 360 watts as he's going along in that blue box. 142 beats per minute, 93 revs per minute, nice and smooth. In the middle of the screen, directly above the middle, you've got the speed, 43 kilometers an hour, 1.7k covered, 9 meters of climbing, and the clock that's been running 3 minutes and 27 seconds and counting. On the left-hand side of the screen below the Downing Cycling, you'll see the leaderboards, and they're only going to come into operation really when we get to the King of the Mountains up at the top. We're not bothering with the sprint on the way around, quite simply because we don't need to. And of course, in the middle, on the top, is of course the Pritygrity logo. Make sure you go onto the website to look at why it's so important to get sustainable kit and why their kit is designed how it is. And I know Neil lectures in how to design equipment for people to be absolutely spot on. So as you'd expect, the kit is absolutely superb. I've got a t-shirt on, and I have to say it gets worn to death. Sorry Neil, sorry Caroline, I have been hammering it even before we got to Pritygrity week. And of course the hat's really good. I actually used it indoors on Sunday. So enough about Pritygrity. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty and down into the chain gang. So our cameras are just jumping in with Craig Genther at the moment here. A number of riders just behind. We're going to jump in with our red beacon. This is Rich Orrell. And Rich, as you can see in that green jersey there, the orange cap, a traditional Downing Cycling coaster rider strip on a lightweight bike and with lightweight wheels. Now these wheels on here are the lightest in the game. They're the ones that will get you up the hills with the least amount of of energy. At the moment, Rich Orrell driving that party bus along. Behind him, I think it's going to be Mr. Kerrigan, Anthony Kerrigan, one of our newer riders, just in the gang. And I think Craig Edford just dropping back to give Rich a hand. Just up in front, I think we've got Taylor at the moment. Let's take a little bit of a look. It is indeed Taylor from Bolsover and District CC on a very nice Campag Bora equipped Dogma there. A very, very nice bike, it has to be said, and you've got to look at that. It is superb to ride on. They are looking great out there. And if we take a little bit of a side view, you can just see it certainly works well for him. Just in front is going to be Emma Payne. Emma is the leader of the Women's Wednesdays. Women's Wednesdays are when we have the women only chain gang. We have 2 a month in February and March, on the 10th and on the 24th of both February and March. Emma's going to be leading those, and don't forget, of course, there are going to be the rides open on the Join the Ride, as well as the links coming out to all of our members on the way through. And at the moment, Emma just working her way in towards the main section of the street. Just in front is one of our Manchester wheelers, just making the way in towards the cobbles, and it's going to get noisy in a moment, I promise you, as we work our way up past Binchy and in towards Owens and Sewell. And that is quite simply because we're going to drop down onto the cobbles. So just in with Iona Sewell at the moment, and just keeping an eye on these riders. Remember, the aim of the game at the moment is to keep all of our riders together, and you can see this group coming together. And if we drop down directly in with our riders, it is definitely one of the really busy sections of course, and it looks like we've got a little bit of tech issues just to make life a little bit harder. Looks like Iona just heading out around the side, and this is a little bit of a tough section as we go on to the main cobbles here from the flagstones. As you can see, this group out and riding well. Just in with George Cooper at the moment. George just rolling around at the back of the bunch, and as you can see, the game at the moment bringing us 100 riders at a time. It's all about staying in and around that yellow beacon. You can see where that yellow pillar of light is. If we go up onto the map, you'll see it's just in front of George here, and the aim is to stay behind the group. Now, we're just going to take a little bit of a jump up, because I think I have spotted 1 or 2 of our key riders in here, and this is Caroline Mansfield. Caroline, of course, is one of our key riders. And one of the reasons is she's our supporter today, looking after our riders on the Donny Chain Gang, the DCG members, eligible to win some great prizes. We've got caps, we've got arm warmers, and of course we've got jerseys, and they're all coming to our members. So we're looking for somebody who has got the spirit of the Chain Gang, who is working hard to look after other riders, maybe staying around the yellow beacon, holding their powder dry until they go and get the signal to go. And Caroline, of course, on the Chain Gang, as well as being a keen rider on and off road. And as you can see, we're just taking a little bit of a look up at the yellow beacon. For us, the ride starts at the yellow beacon, and at the moment the end of the ride is the last rider on the road. This is a group ride, remember, not a race, until the go. If anybody wants to go now, to be honest, we have a pet name for them on the Chain Gang, and that is Muppet. 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 Bit like Pappy, but Muppet. And that is quite simply because anybody who's suffering enough to rip up the Chain Gang and put the hammer into the riders behind really needs to go buy themselves a car with a big bore exhaust, rather than taking it out on the riders on the Chain Gang. Now, let's have a hunt through our riders out on course. Looks like Mr. Grant is in here. Mark Grant, one of our new riders. Welcome to the Donny Chain Gang. Mark, one of our riders who is in the DCG gang. Welcome, Mark, and our riders getting lots of insider information as well as those discount codes. And Mark, one of our key riders, looking good at the moment, and looks like the red beacon only just behind the group, working hard to close those gaps down. And remember, the aim today is to try and keep everybody together. Just in front is Mr. Ridley. This is Alan Parsons, another gang member, and had the pleasure of being out on the bike with Alan. Socially distanced, even when we were falling off in the snow and the ice, so we had a good recce. We've been out looking at a couple of locations, and good to see Alan today, riding really smoothly, and just watching him head down the slope and heading towards that yellow beacon. Just behind, we do have a number of riders just in with that beacon, so we're just going to drop back a little bit here to Rich Orrell collecting riders on the way through here. So it looks like Sewell, Genther in this group. Payne's about 5 seconds ahead, and then Mr. Ridley's about 15 seconds ahead. So this group already starting to form around our red beacon. A little bit further behind is Anthony Kerrigan, one of our new riders. Anthony on to the climb here, so we'll be watching Anthony's progress during the day today, keeping those legs moving nice and smoothly. Nice pedal revs, 83 revs a minute. Let's jump back up to the red beacon group. They are just chasing down. It looks like they're about to catch Emma Payne. Then just in front there's Mr. Ridley, that's Alan Parsons. Then we're going to go in with Grace Metcalf. Now Grace, one of our key people when it comes to the women's Tour of Britain and the Tour of Britain. Grace Metcalf, a regular with Sweet Spot, and it looks like she's well equipped for tonight's ride, riding with the lightest frame on Zwift, just around Mark Grant at the moment. Good to see you, Grace, even if it's not in real life. I had the pleasure of working with Grace on the Tour of Britain and the Tour Series on a number of occasions. And it looks like Grace, along with Mark, are just about 4 seconds behind this group with Caroline Mansfield. So it's Mansfield. It looks like David Hopkinson is in this group as well. David in the GB kit, just moving up towards the front. Looks like Sam Street in here as well. Just going to take a little bit of a look. So Grindley is a little bit further up. He's just in front of the group, just taking a little bit of a look back from him. No, sort of like just underneath the sprint banner. And remember, of course, we're not aiming to put a whole load of pace with the guys at the moment. The aim is to sit back and to let the riders bunch up. And as you can see, lots of riders already around our yellow beacon. And that's exactly what we want to see, and just holding the bunch together here. Remember, of course, all of the riders who are in the DCG gang, that's the DONNYCHAINGANG Supporters Club, are going to get a heads up before anyone else about where we're going, what we're doing, and of course what kit to put on their bike, and of course opportunities to win. We are going to be announcing a fantastic prize a little bit later on this evening, and it's going to be a competition that's open to all the members of the DCG gang. So keep watching, keep listening, and we will be reiterating it on the Facebook page, and that is a fantastic giveaway with some fantastic prizes as well. So it looks like Russ sat in the middle of the pack at the moment, riding along nice and comfortably, and we're just going to have a little bit of a look down through some of these riders. Good to see Jess is in here from Assos, one of the Assos ambassadors in here. Looks like Mr. Beatty's in here, Vin Donohue's in the group, and young Mr. Kettering has sat in and around the group as we're coming around. We're about to come round, and if you take a look at the map, you'll just see the chevrons where we started out are about to come up on the side of the group. Now, riders to watch out for. Interesting to see that we've got Sarah Lomas in here now. We're going to try and dive in with Sarah. Sarah, first female rider up to the top of the volcano after pass. Got to be one of the hot favourites in here. A national standard rider who has ridden herself up onto the podium on a number of occasions at mountain bike and at cyclocross, and of course a rider now on the way back from injury, and definitely one to watch out for when we come up onto the climb. So we're going to keep an eye on where Slow Mass is. Let's see if she's going to be the rider who's going to be leading it up the climb for the women. Just around, it looks like Maddie and Jess in this same group. So we are just sitting in as we come up towards the gantry. Remember, we only need to come through this 3 times before we head up onto the climb. And then we're going to be up onto the main climb. Looks like Andy Hawes is in here. Good to see Horsey in the group. Conor McWigan is in here. Gary Licence in the group. Just working our way through these riders. We're going to try and jump in with Russ, which is easier said than done some days, as you can see. But in with Russ at the moment, and Russ just letting them open the throttles a little bit, and that's going to be very interesting indeed. Good to see Mr. Bennett in here. Bennett, another of our new riders. Remember, membership for the month of the gang, the DCG gang, the DONNYCHAINGANG Supporters Club, 20 quid, and for that we will get you discounts that you don't need to spend very much to get all of that money back and more in savings, and we send you the links, and of course we are more than thankful, and all the riders who don't donate owe you for keeping the gang going, because it's basically down to you guys that Russ and I can continue to bring you the chain gang. So fantastic stuff. Now Maddie Smith sat in here nice and comfortably. Amy is, of course, sticking around yellow at the moment, and it looks like most of the riders are managing to do that. We're just taking a little bit of a look around these riders. Certainly looking pretty smooth at the moment. I'm going to have a little bit of a check as Russ makes his way in and around. We're about to head over the bridges, so let's get up in the air. So there's some fantastic scenery as we head out of town, but we're up in the air now. As Craig Harry says, it's if only give Russ and Matt your money. Now I'm afraid we have to pay it all out in things we pay for, mate. Sadly, no holiday home for us yet, it has to be said. Now, whilst it's nice and steady, we're just keeping an eye on Russ. Just watching Mr. Leeds go past. He's on his way past. We're just going to take a little bit of a drop in. Let's see if we can get a quick chat with Russ, because at the moment I think the pace is holding together quite well. Hello, Russ.
Hey up.
Now then, how are you doing?
Not bad actually. I'm kind of enjoying this. What do we call it? This nice pace, yeah.
A proper pace. It's running along nice and steady. You wouldn't ever normally go on a chain gang and it just go from the off. Well, not always. And the aim is obviously to get quicker, isn't it, as the ride goes on?
Yeah, we like to just let people lead into it, make a little sweat, and then get going. So we just. I've actually got to the front, so I must be going well.
I think you're at the front. There might be 1 or 2 riders just slightly up the road, but I don't think they're by very much at all. And that's what we want to see.
Yeah, the leg snapper, it's so hard. I was trying to stick to 2.5 watts per kilo there, and I went backwards so quick, but then I stuck to the power, and everyone came back. So, the brain wants to go, but let it go. But I'm sure the fast guys will bring it back when they open the power on that last climb. It's 7.4k, isn't it?
It is. It's a long way up. It's 7.4k, and there are slopes up to 10%. And it has to be said, and we know 1 or 2 people have thought about going down the road and getting some sliding room. But the problem is that trying to do that, it's foolish, because the bunch will always be quicker, won't it? It's just like in real life. It pays to stay in that bunch as long as possible, save as much energy as possible, and that's whether it's a flat course or one with a hill at the end like this.
It's the same as real life, you don't want to be on the front, because then you are pushing the power, but second, third row, just cruising around, but as soon as you get past second row here, you're back in the back seats. It's just like, whoo, I'm gone.
Yep. It is, and if you're feeling particularly strong, you can always go out the back of the group and go help the guys at the back, then chase it up to the front. It's certainly doable if you're strong enough. If you're able to do that, then it's certainly a good way to go, isn't it?
I've seen a few guys doing U-turns before and then coming back, and I'm like, going well.
It's always a good way to get extra training in, that is for sure. Speaking of which, we are just coming over the end of this part of the bypass with the Alps in the distance, and we're going to start heading back in towards town. It goes downhill pretty quickly here, doesn't it, as you run down in towards town once again?
Yeah, so we've just gone up to like 54k now and after 5, it's going. It's good fun, good circuit this, and hopefully everyone can stay calm and get a full max effort out on the KOM at the end, and then the cover on Wednesday, ready for the MTB chain gang.
It's going to be very interesting, isn't it? I mean, we did want to do something very different because Pritygrity, of course, are a very different manufacturer of clothing, and their packaging, brown string, paper, biodegradable plastics, it really is different. And I think in doing that, we've by going on to the mountain bike circuit of Serpentine 8, it's going to make people think a bit about what they're doing, and that's part of it, isn't it? It's being a bike rider. It's about thinking about what you do and where you are.
Well, yeah, it definitely got us thinking, didn't it, Matt? I think we've done more recons of Serpentine 8 than they have done for any World Championships or Tour Yorkshires or anything, so...
I had to jump on the bike twice on the same circuit. What's that all about? That's terrible.
And it's one of them, I think I did how many times if people ask where the finish is, I'll say, I can't remember it.
I think it's the 4th time through the arch. Today we do 3 laps and then we're out, and then on Thursday I think it's 4 times through underneath the stone rock arch, but we'll see how that goes once we get into the circuit. That's the one. Watch the miles go by. We're going to let you get on with this because we're heading in towards Lake Snapper again, and you're going to need your wits about you to keep everybody together. And cheers, Russ. We'll try not to come to you on the steepest part of the climb, honest.
Back to the front now, I'm going well.
Excellent stuff. We'll see you in a minute. So good to hear from Russ. Our riders are down up the cobbles. We're going to get up in the air and take a bit of a bird's eye view of our riders around Russ. This is the lead group, because of course the lead group, whether there's people off the front or not, is the group that are around Russ, and that is the riders around that yellow beacon. We're going to go on to the Lake Snapper climb for the 2nd time up here. Really is a tough little climb. And the gradient really does mess with people's rhythm. As you can see, it's 8%, and if we drop in alongside the riders, get nice and low here, you can see that these riders are absolutely nailing it. Russ here sitting at 3.9, just trying to hold around 3. You can see plenty of people with power-ups on, and it's going to be about pulling it all back together again. It looks like you can just see Jess Evans just moving up alongside Russ here. Jess, of course, national hill climb champion. Sonia Inslee's in here. Good to have Sonia back in the DCG gang along with Jess. And I can just see Crosscast Neil was recording the latest Crosscast show with Neil last night, and Bruce catching up on all the action in the world of cyclocross and from the cyclocross World Championships. And Neil Mansfield, the host, and myself, Matt Payne, with Bruce Dalton. We were really loving catching up and really looking in depth at the World Champs, along with a little bit of humour on the way past, and of course the results of the Crosscast listeners' predictions. And I have to say, our predictions, some of us got it right and some of us got it very wrong, but you'll have to listen to the show. Don't forget to go on to iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast from. Give the Crosscast a listen. I think we've got a couple of shows still to come, 1 to 2 shows left, dependent of course on what's going to happen in terms of COVID. And of course, don't forget the DONNYCHAINGANG is going to be coming to you all the way through. We've done just coming up towards our year of the chain gang, and really looking forward to continuing that onwards. We can only do it with your support. Don't forget, of course, without your support that doesn't happen. A massive thank you to everybody who has supported us, people like Andy Hawes, one of our key supporters, and Andy, of course, no doubt going to have a group around him very, very soon. Andy, another of the Sweet Spot staff who are the masterminds behind the Tour of Britain, the Women's Tour, and of course the Tour Series, and of course the Tour Series being announced to move across towards August. Going to be interesting to see that in the height of summer, and looking forward to seeing where we head off with the Tour Series this year. So Andy, just around that yellow beacon, you can see that pillar of light shining down at the moment. Our riders are just making the way up this a little bit of a drag, and one man who knows this course very well is Bryce Smithy, the coach and Eurosport commentator, and of course former national champion, multiple-time national road champion, Brian Smith, road pro for many years as well, and now bringing all that experience to bear on the mic. A great colleague, and great to have Brian back on the Chain Gang once again. I know he's been moonlighting, heading off and riding some of the other rides, but he always comes back to the Chain Gang, which is great to see. And Brian, of course, one of the key people, part of the gang, who's joined for a year and supporting the sport, which is fantastic to see. So thank you very much, Brian, and good to have you in the gang. And as you can see, Brian setting a new personal best time on his way through. Personal record on the way through that 200 metres. Not going for the sprint, you don't need to. It's literally is just about sitting in with this group and getting quicker and quicker. One rider who is definitely getting quicker, Ruth Taylor, getting very, very quick, just on the wheels there in the pink and blue. That's Emma Collier, and we're going to see just how these two get on as we move our way up onto the hill. We're going to drop back a little bit because we've still got plenty of time on the way round. Let's take a little bit of a look and see what our beacon is up to, whether the party bus is rocking, whether the wheels are still on, or whether they've fallen off already. Oh, looks like the bus has collected at least one more rider on the way through. It looks like Alan Parsons is in here. In fact, 2/3 of today's course inspectors are out on here, who've been out and hunting about today for a few little areas. So it looks like Craig Genther, Rich Orrell, Emma Payne and Alan Parsons. It really is a who's who, and these guys are on the way up towards the sprint. This is our red beacon group. In front of them it looks like Mark Grant just up the road. I think Mark could see these. He's currently at 20 seconds up the road from Rich Orrell's gang. So taking a look at Mark, and Mark just in here, and you just see in the background the pillar of light on the distance there, and that is our yellow beacon heading in the opposite direction. 5 seconds up the road, just going underneath the gantry, is two riders who race together regularly. Caroline Mansfield in the orange, the CEO of the Pritygrity supporters, and of course Eve Roberts. Good to have you with us, Eve. Eve riding here, another keen off-road rider, and another rider who is going to be seeing how they get on when they hit the hill. Behind is Mark Grant, and it looks like that beacon group is chasing well behind. They're going to be catching these riders if they're not careful, quite simply because that beacon group have the advantage of numbers. The more riders you have, the faster you go for less effort. It's really straightforward. Now, just in front of Mansfield and Roberts is Hopkinson. Hopkinson looking very smooth at the moment. Very aero bike. Not going to help as he hits the climb. I think he's going to be seeing Grace Metcalf, who's just in front. So Grace 9 seconds up at the moment of Hopkinson. You can just see Hopkinson in the distance behind. And then I think it's going to be Seb Grindley just in front of Grace Metcalf. And Seb definitely easing off on the power there at 1 watt per kilo. We know he's capable of a lot more than that, but we'll see how smooth he goes. So good to see Grace down on the start-finish straight pretty much. And I think Seb's got to be well on his way down here. Seb having a nice little tick along here. He's clearly seen a cake shop, that's what it is. So Grindley just in front. We've got a nice group of four riders forming here. This is really good to see. This is what we want to see. And Looks like Kujak's in here. Welcome to the DCG gang, another of our new monthly members joining the DCG gang, and looking forward to seeing how those numbers grow, hopefully over the next few months, as people help by donating and joining the gang. So Kujak in here, looks like Taylor's in here, Street in here. Looks like Ellis is a little bit further back. So, yep, Ellis sandwiched in between. So, we'll just take a quick look at Ellis. So, we've got 14 seconds up the road. Taylor, Street, Johnson, Kujak behind. Then Grace Metcalf. And here comes Seb Grindley. We said he was just easing back. I think he's going to be pushing up pretty quickly as he makes his way up towards the front again. And so Grindley dropping off the back of the group, then working his way back up again. And that's exactly what you need to do if you want to put in a really good workout. Now, back of the main bunch, I think we are going to see Maddie Smith at the moment. And it looks like that pace has definitely hotted up. If Maddie Smith, one of our fantastic members, and of course one of the riders who we are going to see in action, no doubt, on the hills in here, former national champion and a regular on the DONNYCHAINGANG, and looking really good, looking smooth on the way out of town. Just in front is Smith. Smith keeping those pedals ticking over, 68 revs per minute, so just pushing them around nice and steadily at the moment. About 8 seconds off Cherry in with Stefano Borelli, who is in this group. It looks like Sherwood Pine Cycles with the rider in here. Looks like Mason's in as well. So just keep an eye on these riders, looking like they're all ticking along pretty comfortably at the moment. Stefano Borelli doing the work just on the front at the moment, and you can see the riders all taking it in turns. A nice group forming here. One of the reasons we love this circuit so much is because it does promote groups. We've used it a lot on the chain gang, and we're going to continue to do so because riders do form groups because of the way the profile is, the way that Russ controls the pace. The aim is to keep these groups together, and it looks like the group behind us starting to pack in. Martin Bolt at the moment with Richard Beatty in here, and Beatty looking good at the moment. Beatty making his way onto the front at the moment. Now 12 seconds up in front, I think it's going to be Coleman, who has company here as well, and we're just going to take a look at it's Paul Coleman on the front. Two riders with Coleman, that's Hammond in with him. It may well be Ross that's in there, just waiting for the time to update on the way through. Ross just in front, and so looks like Ross on the Tron bike about to get company here. Three riders coming behind pretty quickly, and it's all about getting into groups. Pick up a group, sit with that group, particularly if, as you can see, that yellow beacon is disappearing off into the distance. That's the time particularly it pays to grab yourself a group. And as you can see here in Austria, in Innsbruck, it is turning to night time as the sun going down, the balloon's still flying. Sure, there's a law against that somewhere. As Ross is joined by the three riders coming through, and you just see Ross starting to push the pace up to jump in with them. So up in front, we're going to jump up to the back of the group. I think Conor McGuigan is going to be seeing this chasing group. They're currently at 16 seconds. You can just see them in the distance behind, but Conor McGuigan on the climb is closing down on Owens, and I think Owens is going to see him behind. He is. So Owens is in here. He's got Conor too far behind, and then Hall currently just being distanced off that group. But if we take a look, this is Hall's view. Got three riders, looks like Priest, Smith and McConville. Now, of these riders, most of them are capable of being up there. So John Wild, Finley Priest and Kieran Smith definitely capable of being riders who can be right up in the thick of the action when we come up onto the climb. Kieran, one of our regular riders, and great to have Kieran back on the chain gang. He's a rider we know who can take it out, another rider who goes back and helps riders until we get to the off, and a rider who helps people out. Finley Priest in here. Priest, another of the youngsters from the East Midlands, and Finley, as you can see, riding for that Sarah Cycle Division team, just sitting in front of McConville. McConville just on the wheels here, and I think they're going to see Hall just going to close them down. You can just see the rider in grey, that is McConville, sat on the back of the two riders in front. Going to have to watch out because they could put the pace up and go chasing onto the back of the group. In front of them it is going to be James, and good to see James in that group working well. And James, another rider who has become a bit of a regular on the chain gang, and great to see James looking smooth by smooth and nice revs, 93, 94 revs per minute at the moment. Coming through here, 185 watts, and looking good on the way up here. So at the moment, Catherine James looking smooth. 5 seconds in front is going to be Macmillan, and Macmillan is going to see them coming behind. You can just see James in the pink coming behind as we go on to the cobbles in front. Next rider in front is Rafferty. Let's jump up to Rafferty. So Rafferty here closing in on John Wild now. John is more than capable of being right at the front as we come up to the top, and John Wild here from fellow viewer, the guys who provide us with the fantastic stats, the info, the course details, the meters climbed, the KOMs, the times, the pressure on the way through. So it looks really, really good as we see John Wild on his way in here. Let's see how he's going. So just getting an update from Andy Horst that Grace Metcalf has moved from Sweet Spot and now working for Specialized. So good to see Grace staying in the sport despite moving on from Sweet Spot. So thank you, Andy. Always good to have the information on the way through. Now, we said John Wild could keep himself in the action. Here he comes up towards the yellow beacon, and you can see here as he makes his way up this climb how many riders are now being pushed back behind. Remember, this is the leg breaker. This is the one that really does test the riders out and see who is on form. Remember, the rider that we're looking for is we're looking for Russ, who is somewhere in the middle of this. Here he is. So Russ in the group here, the rider there on the yellow and black Pinarello, just going up over the top. Good to see plenty of riders around him. Tristan from Emtage, Tristan Emtage from Harrogate, just rolling down, and just keeping an eye on these riders behind. There's a few in front of Russ here. They do need to watch that pace as they go down. They will start to rip this apart if they're not careful. So just in with Jess, one of our very quick riders when we go uphill. Jess, no slouch on the flat or the downhill either. Been getting out in the snow in Wales, and certainly good to see the pictures. Don't forget you can follow Jess and the ASOS gang on social media, and don't forget, of course, Pritygrity on social media. We want some nominations in on that Facebook page by tomorrow lunchtime, please, guys. Somebody who has really been the spirit of Chain, somebody maybe who has worked really hard up on the front. Let's see who is out there supporting the other riders, who has been a star dragging you back. Let's see who is going to be absolutely key as it all rolls in as we make our way along around this circuit. At the moment, Russ looking pretty smooth here. Jess just rolling around. Looks like Finney in here as well. Johnny Lightfoot's in here. Just looks like Sam Emsley in the group. Keith Richardson's in here. Rollett's in here now. Kim Baptista is in the group. Kim, of course, a professional rider, and good to have Kim in action again. Kim, another of our regular riders on the chain gang. Got to be watched out for. Again, another national standard rider when she was younger. Now an international standard rider racing for the professional team for the Anycat team. And good to see Kim joining us and putting in some really tough performances. Now, just keeping an eye on the riders around, because I think I've seen a couple of riders who we know are definitely improving here. It looks to me like Vin Donoghue's in here. Always see him improving. Just keeping an eye here on Coldclough. And Coldclough is definitely a rider who we know is more than capable of taking it out at the front at the moment. Sat in this group, Katie Coldclough in here, another rider who we know has got plenty of speed in those legs. But we're just dropping back now to our beacon. This is Rich Orrell. As we go up in the air, it looks like that party bus is a little bit broken up at the moment. We just take a look. Looks like Rich just ticking his way up at the back of this group. The party bus now numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 riders. Not a record yet. Not a record yet. It looks like Liam Ellis just being distanced here, and Liam just getting asked the question: do you want Rich to drop back? Let's just drop back with Liam. Liam just on the cobbles, and what's he pushing? 126 beats per minute, 63 revs, and looks like Liam is out of the game. So Liam just dropping out there. So it looks like Rich Orrell isn't going to be in with him, and Rich now just pushing on those pedals just to get himself back up onto the group. You can see why the leg snapper is considered such a hard climb. You can see the steepness of the gradient. It really does make life difficult for the riders, and the way to tell, you can see by the buildings in the background as we go alongside. As you can see, the 8% really is tough, and these riders continue to work upwards. Looks like Emma, Caroline, Eve, Craig in there, Alan Parsons in the group, Dave Hopkinson just pushing over the top. It looks like Mark Grant just sitting on the back of this group of 3 as they come up, and the Alps in the distance. They're going to be beckoning very shortly as we make our way up towards them. But at the moment, our red beacon, the bus is going to have to reform. And if we jump in on the zoomed in map, you can see those dots all scattered on the way down, and it looks like Russ has said the go go go. Now we've just not with that group, and that looks to me like Russ has kicked it in slightly earlier than expected. So Russ has pushed it in early. The go 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 has gone, and that looks to me like he's done that very early indeed. We are already in and through the centre of town, and it looks to me like we're already heading back out. So Russ has kicked it in early, 27.8k. This is where the pressure is on now. Is anybody going to do James Allen, the man who runs the spin-off ride from the DONNYCHAINGANG, the Saturday Stellarton ride that heads out, one of the many rides associated with the DONNYCHAINGANG, all part of the DONNYCHAINGANG community. And at the moment, it looks to me like James Allen contained in this bunch, but James is known for doing a long one and putting the kick in nice and early. Now, just taking a little bit of a look at some of these pros. Looks like Liam Mazzoni's in here. I know Matt Bostock is in with us. Fast riders, Kieran Brown in here. Looks like Evans is in here. Remember, Kieran Brown, of course, putting in a phenomenal score and working hard in the Yorkshire Week on a mountain bike. He's going to be joined in here on Pritygrity Week as we make our way around the circuit. Now, just seeing Radcliffe in this group. Looks like Andy McGee's in here. McGee, another of our new members in, and good to see Andy McGee in here. Motivational speaker, former Forces member, and certainly worth a look at. A strength and conditioning coach. So work on keeping that core, that central core strong, as well as helping you in the gym, as well as doing core exercises at home. Really important things to do. Just seen Mr. Leachy, yes, he's in here. Dan is here. Good to see you, Dan. Nice team for the house team. If you wonder why we always pronounce his name wrong, it's quite simply because Dan Lidgett lives on the same place as Lidgett Lane, which is where I was. And anybody who lives near where I lived is going to get the mickey taken out of them, honest. So in with Matt Bostock, the Canyon Pro in here, looking like he's nicely sitting about 5 rows back. Don't want to be on the front doing too much work here. We're coming up to the roundabout in front. This dual carriageway drags it up. It's currently at 3%. Behind us, you'll be able to see the riders are already starting to break up. Looks like Neil sitting on the back of the group there from Crosscast. It looks like all the hitters, though, in this group, and plenty of people already getting out of the saddle. Lots of people putting in big watts. We're just keeping an eye on these riders to see who is in here. Looks like Wade Roberts in here, Way's in here, Kettering's in this group. Got to be watched out for. Simon Warren is here. Simon, the man who moved from the Big Smoke up to Sheffield, is in with us. Simon, of course, the author of 100 Climbs and one of the key men to keep an eye on when it goes uphill. Simon in here, and looking like he's sitting and paying attention. Whether he's paying enough attention, I'm not so sure, because he's going to have to keep his eye on the guys in front. Just keeping an eye at the moment. This is Craig Herring. Looks like he is at the moment bumping along on the bottom rather than floating up the climb so far. We'll see whether he's buoyant enough to get himself up to the top. As on the front goes Coyle. Looks like Bowley chasing after. We're going to move right up to the front here, because I think we need to be right with the guys who are pushing onwards here. Liam Mazzoni Mania, you can see how fast it's moving. It's Scott Easter, it is, who's up near the front, but we're just in with Wade Roberts now as they all are taking turns. This is our leading group. We're going to try and stay with them as long as we can, and looks like Ethan Grimshaw just taking a little bit of a packet at the back there. Joel Davis in this group. Russ managing to sit in here, and we are joined by the Cycling Weekly e-bike rider of the year, the e-bike racer of the year, the winner of the first and I think fourth stage of the Women's Virtual Tour de France, the one and only April Tacey. April, of course, a guest on the Women's Wednesday's Chain Gang, and the professional rider for the Drops team in with us. Good to see April back with us. And April, of course, absolutely class on wheels when it comes to going uphill, as well as in the sprint. Is April going to take it on? Is she going to scalp Harrison Tacey, of course, taking the win, and has been out riding strongly. Looks like Ethan Grimshaw just in front, just in with that group. Joel Davis is just in front as well, big in there, and that leading group just starting to open up a little bit of a gap in front of Russ. We're just going to move up a little bit here. Let's jump up with Liam Mazzoni. Liam and Matt Bostock, the two riders from the Isle of Man, are in here as Bobby Evans continues to push past them. So the gaps, although they're opening, have not opened that much, and this is where the danger comes. We're now up heading in towards the hairpin climbs, and as this happens, this is where you're going to find things get very difficult for the riders a little bit further back. At the moment, Russ really is kicking on hard to try and close those gaps down, and then we can see Russ, the yellow beacon, out of the saddle at the moment, trying to push it back into this group. Liam is only at the moment just having to put in a feather flag. That's a 10% weight reduction. If you weigh 60 kilos, you're going to get 6 knots off that. If you're 85, it's 8.5, and so on. Meanwhile, up on the front, everybody is chasing. Everybody wants to be in there, and it looks like Ryan Williams, the youngster, has gone and opened the gap. He's put in one of the early moves. The question is, has he advanced his up on too far forward? Has he gone too early? Or is he being very careful? Is he going to be the smart player who's looking at the long game and is looking to stretch the guys out behind? Kieran Brown chasing, then Simon McNamara, George Radcliffe, Dan Coleman. It looks like Alex Hutchinson, Brett Dowtree in here, Stuart Bowley. And Stuart again, Evans in there. Evans is riding incredibly strongly at the moment, and we're just keeping an eye on him just to see what he's going to do on this climb. Remember, one of our bigger riders here, and just having to push his way on in towards them, but right up at the front. This group is working well, but they are letting the gap open slightly here. It's 3 seconds. Now, this is about who can keep going to the top of the climb, who can keep the pace on at the front and open up the gaps. We will work our way through all these riders if we can, and at the moment the scenery here in the Alps absolutely stunning as we look back behind Ryan Williams, who is keeping the gaps opened up at the moment. Lightweight wheels on there, not the lightest wheels in the game, but certainly going to help. The lightest frame in the game. Remember, the game is all about making sure you've got the right kit for the right time, and that's going to be incredibly important on Thursday. If you haven't got an email because you're not a member of the DCG gang, we have posted it up on the Facebook page as well, which is important to keep an eye on because it lets you know where we're going, and very often there is a lot of detail about what you need to be doing. Now, here on the pretty part of the ride, not the gritty part of the ride, which is coming up on Thursday, Ryan Williams at the moment continuing to open up this gap. The yellow beacon being distance, you can see that pillar of light over the top of Russ, and at the moment Williams is looking good. Behind it's Bostock who is leading the chase, and if we take a little bit of a look back from Bostock, it's McNamara, Brown, Coleman, Hutchinson, Richardson, Bowley and Jones. But look at this, it is one long line behind our riders who are pushing the pace on. Bostock really is pushing that pace. We're going to whiz around the side of the riders with the drone cam and take a little bit of a look back. Look at this, it is ones and twos. Ryan Williams at 4 seconds. Bostock really is starting to close the gap down. He's got McNamara and Brown with him. So Brown in the green jersey, McNamara in the dark blue, Bostock in the lighter blue. As they come up towards Williams, that gap coming down, they've closed it down, and it's the work done by Bostock that has done that. But Dan Coleman is going up. He's put in a feather flag as he's moved up. He went and reduced the weight to get that onto the wheels. Coleman, one of the most aggressive riders in the group, along with Harrison, Stacey and Radcliffe, known to be very attacking, very aggressive riders. As they push up here, you can just see Jones behind at 6 seconds trying to push, but this group of riders, it is reforming. McNamara on the front in the dark blue just continues to push on. Brown in second place, Bostock in third place at the moment, Richardson in the orange in fourth position, Ryan Williams in the blue shorts, white shoulders, right in fifth place at the moment. And it looks to me like Coleman in 6th, 7th place, and that is going to be Hutchinson and Alex Hutchinson from the Prologue team, managed by Matt Manicky from Struggle Events. He is one of the riders who's already taken victories here on the DONNYCHAINGANG. Is he going to be the rider who's going to take this out as we make our way up here? Kieran Brown now with the bigger watts. He's pushing onwards here. Has he gone too early, or is it just a little bit of a kick? He's just rolling around just under 7. Now we know Kieran is more than capable of going up into double figures. However, at the moment, he's just setting a pace here, which is stretching the riders down. We're just going to go up in the air with the drone and take a little bit of a zoom out. That gap at the moment, it's 3 seconds from our leader, Kieran Brown of Pine Cycles. And as we take a look back, I think we've got about 3 to 4k to go on this big long climb, about half a distance as we came around that last right hand turn. But at the moment, Kieran Brown has the gap on the group. So we take a look back, and in the distance you can see Matt Bostock, the man doing the work again, got him down to 1 second, but Bostock just easing off those pedals. Hutchinson pushing his way back up towards the group. He's currently just distanced a little bit, but it looks like he could well be coming on to the back wheels of the riders behind him. Coleman has been distanced here, so Coleman has gone at the moment. Hutchinson is pushing back into this group, and it is lone leader Kieran Brown, 4 riders together, Richardson, Williams, Bostock, and looks to me Richardson in that group. McNamara pushing on as well. Behind that chasing foursome is Alex Hutchinson. Hutchinson closing on to the back, so it's going to be a one man up the road, a group of 5 riders being led out by Hutchinson. Behind then you can see the gap has gone. Hutchinson at the moment focused, 75 revs per minute. He's certainly looking comfortable at the minute. And as we make our way up, this is one train chasing our lone leader, as Kieran Brown now gets to 5 seconds up the road. So Kieran Brown now at 5 seconds in the green jersey, just continuing to climb up here on one of the steeper sections. It's 10% at the moment, but these riders making light work of what is a very tough gradient. You're just going to have to get up above the riders, try and give you a view of the gradient, but difficult to do with the long grass at the side of the meadows here, these alpine meadows in Innsbruck. Home to the King of the Mountains finished the after party here in Innsbruck. The pretty ride of the Pritygrity week. Remember, on Thursday we're going to be heading across for Pritygrity week to the Serpentine 8 circuit, and really making our riders think about what they're doing and what they're riding in, and how they're going to ride. Always important if we're going to continue in moving forward. The colour stripes on the graphics in the trailer, the titles, the credits and the pre-show really do graphically illustrate, and definitely hashtag show your stripes, because they do illustrate the difference as the temperature is warmed up. Now the temperature is definitely hotting up because Kieran Brown has continued to push on again. 1% here. It's going to feel almost like a downhill as Kieran comes through, and he's pushed that gap out. He's now at 11 seconds. Time is ticking away here for the riders behind. We're going to just have to get a little bit higher up in the air as the drone tries to pick up our riders coming around that corner behind. It's only 2% at the moment, and Kieran Brown is making the most of this. He's pushing on now behind Richardson and seeing the damage being done here by Brown, and Richardson leading that chase. He's at 9 seconds. McNamara now closes that back down again at 6.3 watts per kilo. And Brown now continues to lead these riders out. The map at the top will show us when that gantry is coming. The King of the Mountains gantry at the very top of the climb. But Kieran Brown at the moment doing a great job, and the road just disappearing off in front of him. The gradient now up to 7%. The gap down to 6 seconds. That chasing group are coming, but the question is, have they got the power to bring him back? Because Kieran Brown really has stretched this out. Now taking a little bit of a look, this is Ryan Williams, the early leader on the climb, just stretching it out. Richardson comes across. Can McNamara do the same? Can Bostock do the same? Richardson goes up onto the front. They are trying to close down Brown. Brown is now at 5 seconds behind. Look at these two chasers. Bostock and McNamara close that gap to Williams nice and easily. Richardson just a little bit further in front, but this group of 4 are coming together, but it's 1 on the front. It is then 4 riders, then behind it is going to be Stewart, then Dowtry and Radcliffe. As you can see at the moment, that yellow beacon well and truly distanced in a different valley, I think, at the moment from the race, the ride leader Kieran Brown and the chasing riders behind. So Richardson at the moment leading this group out. We'll take a quick look at Richardson's stats. 151 beats per minute at the moment, 56 rests per minute. That is a very low cadence at the moment, just out the saddle and riding what is the lightest setup on the game at the moment. You can see Richardson with some Melenstein lightweight wheels and the specialised tarmac frame and forks in the game. It is lighter than a Tron bike. It's lighter than a substantial number of bikes. It was eclipsed at one point, but Zwift have dialed back one of the bikes that was challenging, and the Tarmac Pro has returned to being the lightest bike in the game with the lightest wheels. It means you go uphill the quickest for the least energy, and that is definitely being put to good use here by Richardson. Bostock coming around the side of him. Bostock on the Canyon Aero Road, the bike that challenged the Tarmac Pro for a while, but Richardson continuing to push on. Kieran Brown now coming back into the fold as these two up in a slight gap on McNamara and Williams behind us. Here goes Richardson. He's now our leading climber. Let's see how he's getting on here. Looking good as he comes up in to camera shot. He's got the gap on Bostock, and it's Bostock who's having to chase again. So Matt Bostock is doing a lot of work at the moment. He's trying to close our leader down at the moment. Certainly looking like Bostock sitting in second wheel, letting everybody go up the road. just taking his time, not panicking, pulling them back when he needs to. McNamara sat in here. Ryan Williams, after that initial kick, sitting currently in 4th position. 5th position is McNamara. This is the leading 5 behind him. 22 seconds now to Stewart. Hutchinson and Radcliffe together pretty much. Then Dowtry at just under 30 seconds with Stewart, Evans, Crawley, Jones, Braybrook just inside 38 seconds at the moment. So Richardson leading this out. Keith Richardson, one of the fast men of the Donnychaingang, got Bostock on his wheels now. Williams is going to be left to close the gap down. What's Williams got? Is he going to let that gap go out? We're just here with Richardson, our rider up on the front. We're onto a 10% gradient again, so nice and steep as we kick up again. This slope really maxes out at around about the 10% as we climb out from Innsbruck. A fantastic place to be. I was lucky enough to fly into Innsbruck and commentate on the World Mountain Bike Championships, the XC and the downhill, which went out worldwide, including NBC and over in the States, the BBC, you name it. Great to be there, and great to see just how big these hills are and how pretty they are in real life. I just wish I could have taken my bike. Not that I'd wanted to try and keep up with these guys, who are absolutely flying. Richardson continuing to put the pressure on here. Bostock with him. Ryan Williams at 2 seconds, just doing a few watts per kilo or more than McNamara, who's sat in his wheels. And it looks like Kieran Brown now just starting to go off the back. We're just going to take a quick look. Brown's got a bit of a desperate view in front of him. He can see the gaps are starting to open up. McNamara and Williams are at 5 seconds. Then Richardson and Bostock are at 7, if not 8 seconds. And I think with Brown sitting now at 4.2, he's just going to try and stay clear of the chasers behind. Let's jump straight back up to the front, jump in with Richardson. If we take a look back, you can see Richardson here on the 3% is continuing to push on now. We can see the gantry coming up in front. The question is, has Richardson got enough left in the legs to hold off Bostock is ominous behind, but it's Richardson who goes first here now. Bostock's trying to wind it up. Bostock's up at 9 watts per kilo, 10 watts per kilo. Richardson is continuing to push here for the gantry. The gantry rolls flat as they come up over the top. Bostock really is coming here. He continues to kick at the moment. It's going to be very, very tight. Here we go up with the riders. It's going to be Richardson. He thinks he's got this. He's eased off. And I think he's going to come underneath the gantry. Oh, he just holds off Bostock behind him in second place. And it's Williams in third. McNamara is going to come across in fourth place. Kieran Brown is going to be our fifth place rider on the climb. The KOM jersey going nuts. No surprise. 16 minutes, 44.5 seconds as Kieran Brown goes through, stopping the clock at just over 17 minutes. Absolutely storming. Ryan Stewart is here. Radcliffe pushes up onto his wheel. Hutchinson's coming very, very quick behind him. The question is he going to be able to close down the two riders in front? I think they've got a big enough gap. Radcliffe is not going to let this go. He's definitely putting in a kick here. He's got the aero boost in. That's 10% off the aerodynamic drag. Is Stewart going backwards? Hutchinson closing him down. So the first five through. Richardson, Bostock, McNamara, Williams and Brown all going through. Then it is Radcliffe. And then it's going to be Hutchinson, followed by Stewart. Rich Crawley coming through just in front of Jones. Then it's going to be Evans, Stewart. Dowtry comes through in the orange. Kenning is on his way up here. Who's behind Kenning? Can we see anybody behind Kenning at the moment? Absolutely mental. Looks like Matt Bostock's legs, I think, have fallen off on his way through. Matt, of course, one of the members of the DCG gang, the DONNYCHAINGANG supporters club, and one of the key people who makes this happen. So a massive thank you to Matt as we watch our next riders come up. Braybrook is going to be our next rider coming up here. He's got 8 seconds on Coleman, so I think it is going to be Braybrook who's going to come through next. And then Dan Coleman, Scott East and John Wild behind. So here at the top of the climb, as we come up towards the gantry, Alex Braybrook comes through underneath the gantry. Chasing him is Coleman. So it's Coleman coming in just behind them. It looks like Scott Easter is ahead of John Wild and Ethan Grimshaw. Grimshaw putting in a massive kick behind. Easter's going to be able to roll in through the line, but John Wild is having to respond to the youngster behind him as Ethan Grimshaw tries to close down John Wild. Wild has kicked on here. Wild, of course, one of the prolific riders up at the front of the chain gang. Then it's going to be Ethan Grimshaw coming through. Then O'Neill, Biggin, Stringer pushing in just ahead of Manier. And then it's going to be Leo Mazzoni who can see Manier going underneath the gantry. Then it's going to be Thomas and Simonite. Simonite just coming up towards the line. Then Ed Bowley is chasing hard here. So Bowley, then it's going to be Johnson and Stables. Then Zach Hutchinson just on Stables sort of wheel at the moment. And Zach Hutchinson, the youngster, kicking in towards the line here. Behind is going to be Pritchard on the way up. We're going to work our way through these riders. So James Allen, not all that far behind. Allen just at 9 seconds. So Allen is the next rider in. And he leads the ride and comes through just ahead. Simon Warren in with this group. So Simon Warren chasing hard here. Joel Davis just in front of Will Adams, Jacob Steed, Dean Evans, and then Russ just on his way up and through the line as part of that group. We're going to take a little bit of a look. I'm pretty sure that our first woman, no surprise, it is the professional rider, the living legend already, that is April Tacey. Good to see April on such good form here, and Tacey with nothing to prove up against the guys today. Comes in and through the line. April Tacey, our first woman up to the top of the climb, and Tacey's time a 20 minutes 40 seconds, and a women's KOM on the way through as well. So Hull, then Jake Conley, there's Peasants, and then it's going to be Jess Evans. So Jess is going to take the second women's spot on the way towards the line. Jess, of course, a former national hill climb champion, and Jess Evans, one of our members of the Donny Chain Gang Supporters Club, the DCG gang, along with April Tacey, and great to have them in action. We're just going to drop in with Bennett, because Bennett is another of our members of the DCG gang, and Bennett just making his way in towards the line as well, looking very, very smooth as he comes in, and keeping those sort of revs nice and high. Just taking a little bit of a look a little further down, I think we've got Waterhouse Lidget in here. Going to drop in with Crosscast Neil. So Neil, my co-host on the Crosscast, we were busy with the show yesterday, and of course Neil, the designer of the Pritygrity kit that is going to be given away to somebody who really does sum up the spirit of the chain gang. So make sure you get on to Facebook, tag it with Pritygrity and with Donny Chain Gang, and let's see who is going to take that away from the members of the Donny Chain Gang. Now, taking a little bit of a look through, try and catch as many riders coming up towards the line. Looks like Clippo's going to put in a big kick here. So Clippo at the moment, Chris Clippo, just pushing those last few watts out, chasing Carter, the Manchester Wheeler in front of him. Behind him is Stellarton. Looks like Dalgleish working hard here. Clippo putting in that final big kick in towards line. Kooslugs is going to come across the line next. So Kooslugs just ahead here of Lewis. And then it's going to be Dalgleish. Dalgleish with some serious watts here, coming out at 6.5 watts per kilo. Huge revs as well, 123 revs. Then it's going to be Liam Callaway. Liam, don't worry, we'll be thinking of you on Thursday. You better not be on the chain gang. So just taking a look down, we're looking for our third female rider over the top, and it is going to be Sarah Lomas. We said she was going to be up there. So we have April Tacey, then we have Jess Evans. Looks like Fiona Kestevan coming through in third place. Apologies, Fiona must have just dashed through that line. And then it is going to be Sarah Lomas coming through in fourth place. So Kestevan taking third place. And then Lomas taking fourth place on the way through. Just thought I'll keep it an eye. George Cooper on his way back from COVID comes through just ahead of Tom Hepton. And then Ellis is just behind. So just keep an eye on Steve Ellis. Looks like he's just in front of Mark Thwaites. So Thwaites chasing all the way to the line. Definitely somebody who we know is going to keep on pushing as he comes up to the line. So we're going to drop our way back down through the groups. I think our next rider we're going to jump in with could well be Nick McDermott. Nick nicely on his way in towards the line here, being chased hard by Craig Herring. Looks like he's flapping his tail pretty fast here to get himself into the line. Will he be able to come in? He does. He manages to take that final kick up to the finish. Good riding by Nick there ahead of... sorry, just behind Craig, and then Abbott parking. Johnny Two Dogs looks like these riders coming through. Just keeping an eye. I think Charlotte Thompson going to be our next rider in. Thompson coming up in and through the line there, 24:35, and going to be a fifth female coming through. So Tacey, then Jess Evans, Fiona Kestevan, Sarah Lomas, and then Thompson coming through. Rob Wimble on his way in, who can pedal as well as doing Sport Inside Out. He's got behind him, it looks like Matt Gleedale is in here. Gleedale, another of our chain gang members of the Donny Chain Gang Supporters Club, the DCG gang man in here. Another of the riders we've got to say a massive thank you to. Looks like Tom Bredden just chasing down James here. Has he got enough strength? Good to see Brennan sporting some quality facial hair there. And he could roll him here if he keeps this pushing going on. Looks like James is responding to this. It's going to be tight. Oh, the momentum just with Brennan there just in front of James. And then it's going to be Aaron Stone from Richardson Trek just coming in ahead of Gear. And then it's going to be Tim Cooper. Tim, who will no doubt be studying all of this footage back. I'll say a massive thank you to Tim for keeping an eye on what's going on. A key man when it comes to the Donny Chain Gang, and a tech wizard behind a lot of the tech here, along with Mark Chamberlain. So just working my way through. Looks like Honeyman and Green. Rapinski's not too far behind here. Then it's going to be Ian Taylor. Taylor, of course, a key supporter, member of the DCG gang. And watch out as we head in towards the summer. The 1080 man's going to be with us, and we're going to be looking forward. Remember last year, supporting a whole month worth of giveaways. Ian Taylor of 1080, and definitely how to ride in style. Ian Bale behind, and then it's going to be Corden, Ambrose, Nunn, O'Brien, Gately, and then it's going to be Kane coming up here. Emma Collier on the way to the line. Emma, of course, a alley rep as well as a class rider, one of the national standard riders here riding on the chain gang, and another regular on the women's chain gang as well, just ahead of Ruth Taylor just following Evanson, Craggill up towards the line. Got Steve Hilbert just behind, and I think Steve pushing very, very hard in towards the finish, chasing Ruth all the way here, but Ruth Taylor on her way through underneath the gantry, just ahead of Steve Hilbert, who's going to be our next rider in, and it's going to be a real fight, and we're going to see who's going to get this. I think my money could well be on Fish or Donahue. Donahue would be my money, but I don't think he's got it. No, they're not taking it this time round. A man whose TSS scores are inspiration for a whole new generation of statisticians, hopefully, if he keeps on going. Now, looks like Stoddard, Garford, Jackson, Sean Ferron on his way in here. Luke Stone continuing to push. Looks like Harper Roloff in here. Andy Horse on his way up. So Andy benefiting from that humongous weight loss. It was like losing a small child. There he goes. Andy Horse in and through the line, looking smooth. Then it's going to be Gibson coming in to the line next. So Gibson coming through to finish there just ahead of Scotland. Joe Jarvis just making her way in towards the line. And whilst we're talking about people we want to say thank yous to or hellos to, let's say best wishes to Mark Chamberlain. We've got an injured dog here, Indy the trail dog. It's been remarkably quiet down here in the studio. He could come in again, you never know if he's this quiet. But it's minor compared to the injuries to Mark's dog. So good luck, Mark. Our fingers are crossed, and hopefully Lola's going to make a good recovery after tangling with a fall before. Now, next rider coming in towards the line, one of our riders who took the prizes in Struggle Week last week. Will she be in with the running? Will she be a rider who's in with the spirit of the chain gang? It is Gagan who is coming up to the line now, and Gagan on her way in. We're going to see what that time is. She comes in through the gantry. It's going to be a 28:29, just behind Joe Jarvis there. Then it's going to be Paul Coleman. Coleman just pushing those final few pedal strokes to the line. Then Walton being chased here by Langmead. Then it's going to be Mason. Freya on the way up here. So Daisy Freya just making her way up to the top of the climb here. You can see Daisy in action, and a good time for Daisy here as well. I think going to be just sub 30, which is no mean feat. In fact, a 27:19, so a quick climb there for Daisy Freya, and closing down plenty of riders behind Colin Bell, Beefy from Cycleways, just keeping those legs just about turning over. Then it's going to be Hayward. Can see Mr. Hayward in here. Then Chris Gale, Rob Carling, one of the key men. Rob, that turbo tyre worked well. Thank you very much, mate, for sticking it in the post. Do appreciate it. Chris Gale, and then Sadler and Fuller just ahead of Taylor. Taylor just pushing on here ahead of Hurst. Hurst working well behind. Kai Hurst in here for the East Devon CC. Should be used to hills down there. Then it's going to be one of our Sherwood Pines riders. Then Kieran Smith in here. Smith with Finley Priest for company. These two doing a 2-up time trial on the way round. Rumours that they match their tops and they ask each other what they're wearing before they go out. It's not entirely true. It's not entirely wrong, to be fair. It looks like Priest is catching Kieran napping there. So Finley Priest just sticking it to Kieran on the way into the line. Good to see these two always up for a bit of fun up towards the line. Katie Coldclough coming up to finish up on the climb. Going to be just about inside that 30-minute mark, I think. So just in with Katie at the moment as Katie rolls in through the line. Then it's going to be a Street behind, and then Mason. Then we're going to have Sonia Inslee. Inslee again, another of our members of the DONNYCHAINGANG Supporters Club, the DCG gang. And Sonia just into those last 200 metres here. And Sonia's certainly looking like she's got this nailed, just ahead of her teammate, and that is Maddie Smith. You can just see Maddie behind in the pink. That is going to be Sonia's climb today here, and Sonia in action on that super lightweight frame. Coming through, making the most of that on the way up the climb. She comes through just behind. Chasing is Maddie Smith. Maddie, of course, has been our beacon on and sweep on the women's rise, as well as being a beacon on the open rise. And Maddie coming in ahead of a number of riders. We're just going to take a little bit of a look back. I think it's going to be Dickinson and Topless, the next riders. They're a little way out from the finish here, so should be able to take a decent look and see how these two are doing. So Dickinson on the front at the moment, Darren Topless just behind him, and Dickinson looking like he's just stretching this out. 65 revs per minute. We'll give him a ride on the way up here, just trying to keep that distance stretched. To Topless behind him. The gantry is going to be in sight. If we drop it in with his viewpoint here, you can see that gantry not too far away. It's 4% at the moment. It will ease off behind him though. Darren Topless has got him in his sights. Will Topless be able to close him down? No, Darren's been putting in some miles, and Topless now continues to push on. He's opening up the throttle here, and it looks like Dickinson's going backwards, so Darren Topless on his way into the line. Dickinson's now starting to kick, but I think he may have left this too late. Topless is going to see the 200 metre to go sign. He's gone through that. The 100 metre to go sign is just in front. Where is Dickinson? Well, he's behind, but he's got the gap. Has Topless as the gradient eases. Darren Topless from Pines Cycles coming through the top of the climb. And as Topless comes through, we'll jump back to Dickinson. Dickinson, the rider immediately behind him, and no doubt done a lot of the work on the way up. Then it's going to be Carl Johnson. Carl, another of our regular riders on the DONNYCHAINGANG, and another rider who is improving week on week. Just behind him is going to be Hayward. Hayward coming in across the line, 9 seconds clear of Cherry. Cherry has Borelli with him for company though, so we're going to just take a little bit of a look. Where is Borelli? He's coming up fast. Here comes Borelli. So Borelli just coming past on the way into the line. Stefano Borelli of Nonnas coming through just in front of Cherry, and then it is going to be Luby. So Luby coming in and through ahead of Kim Baptista. Baptista on the way up here. Kim on a steadier ride today, so good to see Kim in action. And Kim Baptista just doing the final few metres on the way up towards the climb, and I'm sure plenty more racing to come from Kim. So Baptista with the line in sight, and a rider who has improved year on year and improved week on week is Charlotte James, behind, who's not too far behind. In fact, the groups behind are coming pretty quickly here. So Baptista now on the run towards the finish here on the DONNYCHAINGANG. And just keeping an eye on the riders behind. Not too many big gaps. Lots of riders on the way through. Just about 300 riders out on the ride today. Not that we're really worried about the numbers. It's all about being able to keep that group together. And well done to everybody who held that bunch together as long as possible. Kim Baptista coming through the finish here, being chased to the line by Charlotte James. And Charlotte going to be our next rider behind Baptista here. So the pro rider leading home James. Then it is going to be Richard Beatty. Beatty pushing towards the line. Remember, if you've got a rider who's helped you out loads, somebody who really does sum up the spirit of the chain gang, somebody who is battling against the odds, somebody who maybe is putting everything in there, then please guys make sure you give them a nomination on the Facebook page. So Owen's the next rider in, and he's got 28 seconds on Martin Bolt at the moment. So Owen's on his way in, and whilst Owen's on his way in, let's see if we can catch up with Russ. I think Russ at the moment about to jump on the phone. Let's see if we can grab hold of Russ. Hello Russ, how are you doing?
Ooh.
I bet your legs hurt, don't they?
Oh yeah, I'm just trying to ride them out, but it's taking longer than expected. I'm just still in Innsbruck, just rolling around trying to do down to 50k, but yeah, it's hurting.
I bet it is. It was a very fast finish, wasn't it?
Yeah, very fast. We were going, and then boys at the front were just hitting each other. It was the quickest on the KOM, 16 minutes or something?
Yeah, 16:44 was today's time. The fastest time. Sorry, 16:45. The fastest time by Richardson. That's some going. I think that's very close to taking the overall KOM.
That's not bad, because most people that do the Innsbruck KOM, they just do the 2 or 3k before it, and then up the KOM. So we did 30k before the KOM at the end. So yeah, it's a good night. I think that people are still finishing now, and it's great. But there's some great little groups forming early doors, and then on the climb there was groups talking to each other and getting on with it. I'm just answering a few WhatsApp on another group there, and then people are just saying that stuff. But it ain't easy. It's the DCG, so yeah. Well done, and don't forget to get to that shop and change your bike for a mountain bike.
Well, we'll see who is paying attention to the YouTube and to the Facebook page, who is a member of the DCG gang, the Members Supporters Club, who, of course, get the insider info before anybody else. Thank you very much, Russ. We're going to let you get those legs stretched out. Let's bring the last few riders home.
Cheers, mate.
So thank you very much to Russ, who is out on circuit. We're just watching Macmillan come in, the bikes and beers jersey in evidence once again here on the DONNYCHAINGANG. Remember those rides on a Friday night. The details up on the Facebook page as well. Macmillan finishing just in front of David Hopkinson. Hopkinson keeping that aero bike rolling smoothly. 100 revs a minute on his way in through the line. That's a nice cadence as he comes up in towards the line. Then we're going to go back down the road. It looks like Caroline Mansfield, Mark Grant, Emma Payne, Craig Edther, Alan Parsons, Eve Roberts, Rich Orrell, all out on circuit, and the party bus certainly in evidence. Bigger crowds at the side of the course here in Innsbruck than you've seen at the World Cyclocross Championships, that is for sure. As Caroline Mansfield just leads this group, certainly on the front. Rich Orrell, conductor rather than driver at the moment. This group are well on the way up this climb. Just on the 10% section, which is a really tough section, so we're going to just keep an eye on these guys. So it looks like Mr. Genther is going to be jumping off very shortly. He's going to be done by 1:30. He's only got about 3 minutes. Let's just jump in with Craig. Craig, one of our regular riders, a member of the DCG gang, and got to say, key man, good to see Craig on the gang and helping everybody out. A definite gent, and good to see Craig riding with the bus at the back. So well done, Craig. Fantastic stuff. And a man who's got to be done by 1:30. You've got about 2 minutes 40 to make it to the top of the climb, mate. That's a bit of a tough ask, but not impossible, because it isn't that far away. The question is, dare you stay on the bike to 1:30? We'll soon find out. So as we watch our riders here in the Alps in Innsbruck, at the Innsbruck Ring with the King of the Mountain after party, we've got to say a massive thank you to everybody who's ridden, massive thank you everybody who's watching, but most importantly a big thank you to Caroline and Neil from Pritygrity, who have got prizes. There's a proper riding jersey as well as arm warmers and a cap for riders. You need to nominate people who have been out there and acting in the spirit of the chain gang, whether they're the rider at the back or the front, who were working the hardest, helping people out, sort of waiting for the right moment and then going for it. I mean, yeah, might be the man that you might want to nominate on your screens at the moment, Craig Genther, who's rolled around with the bus at the back until the point which he has to get off at 1:30. It's going to be tight. He's got only a few minutes left to get into the line underneath the gang. So it looks like Eve Roberts, Rich Orrell and Co are chasing behind. So we've got to say a massive thank you to them. Massive thank you to everybody who has joined. Don't forget, donate to join the DCG gang, the DONNYCHAINGANG Supporters Club. That basically means that we give you loads of discounts, we give you loads of giveaways, we give you lots of exclusive info. You get the links first direct to your inbox, and we have coming up a fantastic unique giveaway. You can't buy these things, they only come by being a class rider and winning. We have one of them we will give away. We're not going to tell you what it is. Members of the DCG gang have got a hint. Heads up though, more of you that are in there, the more of you who are in the members club, the supporters club of the DCG gang, the more chances you have to get hold of something really, really special. Now, as Craig Ether comes in and through, let's jump back in with the rest of the gang. So Craig doing the business, getting in by past. Behind him, it looks like Mark Grant. Mark joining the DCG gang members and looking very good. Just in front of Caroline, and I think Emma just worked out she can see the line, which is a bonus because she wasn't seeing the lines when we were out on the bike earlier on. But Mark Grant certainly has. Grant has gone for this really early. 200 meters to go, uphill sprint though. So this is really going to start to tear his legs out here, but looks like Grant is going to do this in style. So here he comes. The gantry's coming. He's going to make his way through. He's the first of the party bus to chase in after Craig Ether. So here we are. The go goes from Oral. It's all about those final few meters. So you can see Mark Grant coming through. Next behind, it's going to be Caroline Mansfield. Mansfield, of course, the CEO of Pritygrity. And make sure you go onto the website www.pritygrity.co.uk. Now, behind Caroline comes our women's leader, Emma Payne, a rider who's just signed for a new team and is in there. So her team can be pleased that she's been out there helping riders on the way up. Next up to the line is Eve Robertson. I'm sure we can see Eve on the women's chain gang. Remember, Women's Wednesdays on the 2nd and 4th weeks of the month. And that is a new PR for Eve as she comes through the line. Then it's going to be Alan Parsons. Alan's doing a great job here as he comes up and through the line just ahead of the legend that is Rich Orrell. Rich doing the business here for the Red Beacon here on the Donny Chain Gang. Don't forget, of course, warm down for all of our riders who come off the far side of the mountain and they're going to roll the way down. So a massive thank you to everybody who has been on the Chain Gang. From Russ Downing, from myself, Matt Payne, have a great couple of days. We will see you on Thursday for the Chain Gang. Make sure you go shopping for the right bike and make sure you watch the Facebook page for a fantastic announcement of one of our great giveaways. And of course, don't forget, nominate somebody who has been in the spirit of the Chain Gang. We'll see you on the next Donny Chain Gang.